Hello. It's Tuesday. Tuesday. Tuesdays are equivalent to what my Sundays would be if I worked the same kind of schedule as like the 40-hour a week thing, uh, which I don't. But here I am on my Sunday, and these are the days. These are the days that I usually spend a lot of time in contemplation and listening to podcasts that inspire me. And so probably I'm going to be posting a lot of these pointers for myself, these reminders on Tuesdays, because that's when they occur. And I've found out that people are actually starting to watch these videos, so which is great, wow, weird, whatever. So I'm adding a little bit of extra explanation in here, or just contextualization for those of you who aren't me. Wait a minute. I'll come back to that. Okay, so I go once again. We're here talking. I'm talking. There's talking happening about ego. I was just listening to Rupert again in a conversation with a participant at one of his retreats, and it inspired me to make this video, just to put a pin in the awareness, the bulletin board of awareness, or the map of awareness. It's a map, right? You're dropping a pin on the map of awareness. Okay, so this thing that I'm calling ego, the apparently separate self, is a collection of thoughts and feelings, perceptions, and conceptions. And what happens is when the one being focuses, when focusing happens, when the localization happens as just a natural consequence, or a natural thing that the is does, the being as a function of its self, a function of its activity, is to focalize and localize here. It veils its own existence, like that tube that I was talking about, the kaleidoscope, right? That kaleidoscope is limiting. It can't see the totality of its existence, infinitude of itself. It necessarily veils its own self. So these thoughts that I have, that I, as apparently separate, limited self, have, this thinking and these perceptions, are veiled. They arise from this veiling place, or rather, they arise from being, because being is all there is. So being is generating thoughts. Thoughts happen. There's no me that's thinking, right? Because ego isn't a person. It's a collection of thoughts and perceptions, right? So thinking is coming from, thoughts are coming out of being. Feelings are coming out of being. But they come through, like this thing that I call I, this ego, experiences them through the veiling, right? Or being experiences them through the veiling, okay? Because being is what's experiencing. Being is what's all that's here. And so being experiences its own thinking, its own thoughts, through this veil, right? That is this localized perspective. And what awakening, or what this process is, whatever we want to call it, awakening. Yeah, we could talk about that and the distortions of meaning that have been attached to the word awakening. But whatever, I'm just going to keep calling it that for now. When awakening, this process of awakening is the process of unveiling, right? It's distinguishing that those perceptions and conceptions, or the ego, the glass in the glass in the tube, the glass in the kaleidoscope, isn't who I am. It's a veil. And so when the veil is removed, the thoughts that are coming in are unveiled, right? You remove the veil, then the thoughts are unveiled. You're taking off the colored glasses. You're removing, or not removing the headset, the VR headset, but you're somehow able to see through the VR headset. Rupert gave this example, and I want to pin it here. He said, take the feeling of love. The feeling, what comes from being, is the feeling of love, peace, right? That's just what being is. When we experience ourselves as being, what we experience is this feeling of love. It's completeness, wholeness. It's the absence of separation, right? It's what happens when you no longer experience yourself as separate. You experience love. That's the feeling that's coming from being, or that's the feeling of being. Nothing's coming from or going to any place, because there's no place to go. But let's just say, as a concession to this belief in time and space, that it's coming from being, right? Okay, so there's this feeling of love, but in when you're veiled, when you experience yourself as a separate being, right, then love gets distorted. That feeling of love gets distorted through the veil. And what Rupert was saying is that it becomes hate. I think that it's more subtle than that. I think it can become lots of things, because I have lots of different feelings, right? So it can become hate, and it becomes sadness. I wonder if there are experiences of joy that are veiled experiences of joy, and experiences of love that are veiled experiences of love. I think the answer is certainly yes. And I could spend time identifying those, but that's not the point. The point is that a veiled experience of feeling looks like something other than wholeness and completeness. An unveiled experience of feeling is pure being. It's this experience of love and completeness and wholeness. And in that video, he didn't go on to talk about what veiled and unveiled thoughts are, but one, I think, could extrapolate. Even you don't have to extrapolate. It doesn't have to be conceptual. Just having had this experience of an unveiling. Unveiled thoughts, well, I'd have to get back to you on that one. Had this experience when I really first got that only God is here. That's Nikki Walden. By the way, if you ever really want to get unvarnished or just a direct hit of love, go visit Nikki Walden, her site. It's called Curly Nikki, Meditations with Curly Nikki. What a beautiful being. Anyway, her the one of the mantras that I got from her, from that site, from that person, is only love is here, only God is here. That's all there is. Only God is here. Only God is here. If you thought there was something else here, I have news for you. Only God is here. This is all it is God. This is all just love. And if you think it's something else, that's veiled. That's a veiled thought. That's a veiled experience. Okay, so I feel like I need to just real quick here disentangle this from any sense of judgment, right or wrong. It's not wrong to be veiled. It's not right to be unveiled. It's just one is veiled and one is unveiled. We spend our lives being veiled, and maybe we have to, even maybe that's useful because, again, evolutionary game theory. Okay. Back to what I was saying. I had this experience of unveiling that where it was inside of this meditation of only God is here. I really even the thoughts that I was thinking. I realized the thought. There's no room in the universe for anything but God. Anything that you think would exist, anything objective or even subjective, anything like a thought or a feeling or an object, whatever, would displace some of that infinitude, and God would no longer be infinite. As Rupert would say, God would no longer be God. It's very dramatic. But the point is, even something as subtle as a thought is God. These thoughts that I'm thinking, they're God. There is no me. There's just being. My thoughts are pure being, veiled by the activity of localization that being does, but nonetheless. And as soon as I got that, even my most intimate sense of selfness was not separate from God. That it wasn't like proprietary. I didn't own it. It's not me, right? Like it's not belonging to some separate self that I think that I am. It just boggled me. I stopped being able to think. Like thought just, and for many minutes, like a thought would begin to arise, and it would just, like it was like I could see a thought coming and just like whatever. I ran out of metaphors, but it was thought stopping. It was just, and it was like a short circuit. I don't know, like. So I don't know what an unveiled thought looks like. I mean, I certainly I've had them, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe there's no such thing as an unveiled thought. Maybe when the beingness is fully unveiled, it's just that no thought experience that I just talked about, and then we have to veil. We have to return to veiling just so that we can get by here in this time space. Incarnation. Incarnation. Carne, meat. Being stuffed into a meat sack. That's incarnation. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to get back to doing things here today. Writing, working on a website, making food. I love my Sundays. And listening to Rupert and Donald Hoffman and Nikki Walton and Bernardo Katzap and Ram Dass and Alan Watts. Oh, those guys. I sat with Ram Dass a couple of times. I had lunch with him at Brighton Bush. This was after his stroke. And I worked with him a little bit to make a video event happen there. And, regret, whatever. I feel I'd love to just hang out with that guy. Not because I'm looking for a guru, but it just seems like, as I listen to him, I'm like, God, I would just enjoy just hanging out with you as a friend. Dear Ram Dass, dear Richard Alpert. And Alan Watts too, though he's, man, what an intellectual marvel that man was. So grateful to the work of his son, Mark, for preserving those recordings, and the work of the Be Here Now Foundation for helping make them available, and also the recordings of Ram Dass. If you haven't checked those out, I highly recommend them, and also Nikki and, of course, Rupert. Mind-blowing. Anyway, much love. Cheers.